Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Don't normally see me at this time of night, do you, on a live? But I had to come back on because earlier I was talking about John George and what had happened. Two of the so-called witnesses in the murder of John George were at court in Torrevieja today. And there was a lot of chat on social media, on TikTok particularly, saying what had happened. And, it all sounded like very strange. Anyway, now we're finding out what really happened at court today. What officially happened. And I just want to say before I start, I'm starting to see, I've never really, even though I've got a TikTok account and I put videos up there and it's growing actually, my following on there, which is great. But I don't really watch TikTok at all and now I know why I never watch it, because it is the biggest load of rubbish you've ever heard in your life. And I'm saying to anyone out there, not me, of course, but some of those TikTokers, you just cannot. I thought, some YouTubers can be, go a bit off the wall with the things that they say without any evidence, etc. But on TikTok, it's ridiculous. So what was being said today about this court case appearance? 2 witnesses were called to the court today for a preliminary hearing, and nobody, people pretending to know what happened, people supposedly listening in on phone conversations from the court, which is completely illegal. And I tell you, the Spanish police knew that was going on, and they, people actually talking about that, saying that they were doing that actually on the internet. Just crazy. I've watched quite a few different creators and the things that they've said about what happened in court today. Now, of course, I didn't know what happened, so all I was saying was I have no idea what happened. I wasn't there. I couldn't hear what people were saying, and I've long time ago learnt not to take when people say, oh, this happened and that happened, if you're not actually there and you don't actually see or hear it with your own eyes, especially people when they're trying to interpret things from Spanish when they don't know any Spanish, they don't know anything about the way the Spanish justice system works. They just seem to want, to, I don't know, say bad things about the Spanish police, and they don't know anything about them or the system. Anyway, now we've found out what really happened. So let's have a look. What happened in court today? And the other thing I want to say is these creators who are saying these ridiculous things, they are not doing John George any favours or his family. If John George is going to get justice, things have to be reported responsibly, not reporting things like without even knowing the full facts, saying things, doing things that are illegal to do, naming suspects unless they've been named, officially, etc. Now notice that one of them has been named officially now, because it is actually in this article that I'm going to read you. So they won't be mentioning it in this article unless they felt they were allowed to do it. So I'm going to read you this article that will explain to you what happened today at the court when the 2 so-called witnesses were required to give preliminary statement, were required to attend for their preliminary hearing. So yeah, I would be very careful. I'm starting to see, since I've started watching TikTok, I'm starting to see why everyone's so against it. I've never, honest to God, what a load of rubbish. But anyway, never mind. So, Northern Ireland man ordered to the Spanish court over John George case is evicted after turning up intoxicated. So all that, oh yeah, well, the police won't let him sign the statement, and they stopped him going back in. Yeah, he was drunk. They wouldn't let him sign the statement because it wouldn't have stood up then in court, because then he wasn't capable. He wasn't compos mentis. So, so this is by in the Belfast Telegraph. This is Alison Morris. A man ordered to appear in court to make a statement about the murder of John George was allegedly evicted from the building after showing up intoxicated. A recording shows the man from Northern Ireland outside the courthouse arguing with the Spanish police, slurring his words and unsteady on his feet. Oh, great. Another, great, as if the Spanish don't already think that British people are just a load of drunken idiots. Then now we've got this guy just proving a point. So a solicitor acting for the murdered 37-year-old's family says the man should now be arrested until he sobers up and tells the authorities in Alicante what he knows. Now, it begs the question, did he deliberately turn up drunk, knowing that he won't be able to give his statement? Is he trying to avoid telling the truth? I don't know. Or maybe it's just, maybe he's got drunk because he can't cope with everything that's going on. He's obviously someone who's used to getting drunk and taking substances. I expect he'd been taking substances as well, not only alcohol. So Mr. George from West Belfast was found dead after vanishing in Spain on December the 14th. His funeral takes place in Belfast tomorrow. Yeah, and how disrespectful as well. That man, boy, whatever he is, if he's got nothing to do, if he's not the murderer, then what he can do for this family is just go tell the truth, be honest, be open. So, on this TikTok rubbish that I watched, they were saying, he was really upset because he really wanted to help the family out. He said he was pleading to, sign this statement. Well, of course, they're not going to let him sign if he's drunk. He's lucky they didn't arrest him there and then, to be honest. And apparently then his phone was on record or something, or his phone was, he was on the phone to this TikToker at the time. It's disgraceful behaviour. I'm sorry, it's disgraceful. That if that happened in a court of law in Britain or anywhere else, it's terrible. You can't go in a court of law and phone someone and then leave the phone on so they can hear what's going on. That you just can't do that. And honestly, I'm absolutely, and it's not doing John George any favours or this case, because what whoever is the prime, they all need to be brought to justice. If they're aiding and abetting, they all need to be brought to justice for whatever their role was. But the least that they can do, and it does feel like that's what the other person is doing at the moment, at least trying to cooperate, and that will reflect when he does get his sentence finally. But this guy's turned up intoxicated. So it says he can't get a solicitor. You get given a solicitor. I know that for a fact. I've been to court loads of times with clients interpreting. If you haven't got the means to get a solicitor, you get awarded a solicitor. And so that's not true. This guy he's like in a, I don't know what is he doing? But he's not doing any favours to this family in this case. So Mr. George from West Belfast was found dead after vanishing in Spain on December the 14th, and his funeral takes place tomorrow. Kevin Winters, who is acting for Mr. George's family, Billy, said, "We are told that one of the persons summoned to court in Spain had to be removed because he was unfit due to intoxication. And if that's correct, then attention needs taken immediately against him." So probably what the George's, the family solicitor has probably been trying to find out what happened. Why didn't give it? He's probably seen this rubbish on TikTok and thought, what the hell's going on? And he's got to find out what actually really happened. So, where am I? So, whilst there is an entirely different criminal justice system in Spain, nevertheless, I expect there to be enough power within the court to sanction this man for his state of inebriation. Now, here, they've named the other guy. I've been trying really hard not to name anyone. Now, I would imagine because he's been named, they must somehow have permission to name him. So I'm repeating his name because it's in a mainstream media, article. It's them that's named him, not me, honest. So along with Michael Malley from the Czech Republic, the Northern Irish national with an address in Orihuela on the Costa Blanca, he was awarded to appear before the judge for questioning. The summonses served earlier this week described them both as witnesses to a homicide, with no suggestion that either man was responsible for killing Mr. George. The two were warned they face a fine of between 200 and 5,000 euros if they fail to appear, and the alleged killer in the case remains on the run and is being sought by Interpol. Now, it says here, because the other thing the TikToker and what was saying was that Mr. Malley did not appear, but it appears he did. So while Mr. Malley did appear before the judge, the second man was ejected from the premises. A video shows him arguing with members of Guardia Civil outside the courthouse. I mean, is he mad? Don't argue with the Guardia Civil. Mr. Winters said, "We now call on the authorities to take all steps to get him back into court as soon as possible. The threat of a night in the cells would be a solitary reminder of the need to show some respect for both the court and the bereaved." How dare he be so disrespectful? Anyway, if reports are correct, there was none of that on display today. That witness needs hauled back into court immediately. Now, what I was saying in the video that I made earlier, this is interesting. There were also reports this week that a relative of the suspect is still being sought in relation to the shooting, travelled to Spain on Friday. So I'd heard that. It's rumoured that the suspect's mother has travelled to Spain. Don't know if it's true or not. That has led to speculation he may be hiding out somewhere in the Alicante region. And if you watch the video that I did earlier, I was saying about the police roadblocks, Policía Nacional. Is it him that they're looking for when they're doing these roadblocks? There are international arrest warrants issued in Spain for the man who is the main suspect. He's been in hiding since the end of December. John George last contacted his father Billy on December the 14th and is thought to have been attacked later that evening, and a flight to Northern Ireland was later booked in his name. His family was told he had lost his phone and he would be flying home to Belfast on December the 18th, but he failed to board that flight. He was already dead. Yeah, and his body was discovered in a rural area close to Rocales, 45 minutes south of Alicante, 3 weeks after he was murdered and he had been stabbed and shot. So tomorrow is the Requiem Mass. Requiem Mass is tonight at St. Luke's Church in Twinbrook, and tomorrow is his funeral, okay? And the family have asked that instead of flowers, donations should be made it to the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, which think they've helped them get John's body back to Northern Ireland. But how awful, how awful that this man has turned up drunk. I hope that, he does get recriminations for it. And, so disrespectful to the family on the eve of the funeral. But also, I'm sorry, TikTokers that are, talking rubbish without confirming what happened. You can't just... Anyway, never mind. At least I'm not going to say any more about that. I don't like to talk about other creators, but this has made me quite angry, because then when you get people doing things like that, that's why social media gets a bad name. You can't be surprised, really, can you? You can't be surprised. Well, Sharon, you're saying he wasn't drunk at all. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know he wasn't drunk? I'm just asking you. How do you know? Why, there'll be a reason they wouldn't take his statement. There'll be a reason. You're saying he's not drunk, but how do you know? Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, well, I don't mention other content creators' names on my channel, so I'm going to delete that. But I'm sorry, that's what's said. So what you're basically saying is then that the Guardia refused to take his statement just for the hell of it, threw him out just because they felt like it. It's just not true. Sorry, it's rubbish. It's rubbish, and there's a video that's emerged of it. What? Why would the police do that? Why would the Guardia do that? So is that what you're saying, that they just threw him out for absolutely no reason whatsoever? And he shouldn't have been phoning from a courtroom. No, how disrespectful. This is doing no good for the family. It's doing no good for the family. It's disrespectful. He should have done his statement if he thought that, he wanted to help the family. He should have just done his statement. Ask for a solicitor. You can ask for a solicitor. Sharon, you don't know anything about I live in Spain. I've been to Torrevieja court many times. It's not a courtroom that where they do the statement. It's like it is part of the court, but it's just like a big room with all desks and things, and you go in and you make your statement there. Then you go into the courtroom afterwards. That's the way it works in Spain. This is the problem. People are talking. They don't understand how it works in Spain. Sorry. They just don't know how it works. It is a courtroom. That's Torrevieja Court. I've been in it a million times. And where he would have been where he's gone to give his statement. And then after the statements are given, they're taken to the actual courtroom. But even the courtroom itself, you can tell it's a courtroom, but it's very informal. It's not like, there's not a judge sat there in a wig or whatever. That's not how it is in Spain. It's very, very informal. There's a judge sat there, they'll have a robe on, but underneath they've probably got jeans and trainers. So it was a courtroom. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is a courtroom. It's part of the court. That's the procedure. And he will have had an interpreter. He'll have had the official interpreter, which probably they didn't speak very good English. But also, if you haven't got the means for a solicitor, you just have to ask for one, and you get one. That's how it works. I know it. I know the system. You're talking to somebody who actually knows what happens, not somebody who's thinking because it's not like it happens in England or Ireland. That's how it is. That's how it is. That is a courtroom. That's Torrevieja Court, for God's sake. I could keep saying it over and over again, and people will just believe what they want to believe, I suppose. but he's been to a courtroom. If they've thrown him out, they've thrown him out for a reason. He's lucky not to be arrested. He's lucky not to be arrested for phoning up some social media person while he's in the court. I mean, just can't believe that. Just the disrespect, for everyone and everything. And at the end of the day, tomorrow it's this man's funeral. And what has he done to help that family today? Nothing. So, it'll go. I don't know what will happen now. They'll probably present him with more papers at some point and then get him back there. I don't know what they'll do. They've probably told him what they're going to do, but he won't have understood it because he doesn't speak any Spanish. So he won't have even understood what's going to happen next. He needs a solicitor. He's got to ask for a solicitor. I'll tell you what, if you know him, you don't need to. There's solicitors in the court that walk around. You say you haven't got, they're there waiting for a case. That's how it works there. When he was sat down, he should have been asked to do his statement. He should have been asked, do you have a solicitor? Do you need a solicitor? And then they bring you a solicitor if you can't afford one. And these solicitors, they don't have to be phoned up, and they're already there in the courtroom. They're like, I don't know how to explain it. They're there just in case a case comes up. I've taken someone who did that. I haven't got a solicitor. Right, next minute, solicitor's there. Solicitor is there at the courts. That's how it works. I don't know if you know this person. Yeah. I can argue with that because that TikToker doesn't speak Spanish for a start. So they don't have a clue how the system works. And I don't know if you know that TikToker or if you know the guy, but I would advise them not to do that again because that is illegal what they did. It's illegal what they did. You can't, they won't even let, anyway, never mind. I can't argue about it because, I'm not arguing about it. I know the system and that's how it is. And if you know that guy or if you know someone who knows him, for him, I'm saying for him, apart from the fact he should respect the family and John more, for his own good, he needs to ask for he needs to go there next time not drunk and not intoxicated. And he needs to ask for a solicitor for his own welfare, because he's gonna fall foul of the Guardia. And when you fall foul of the Guardia, that is not good. So if he's, arguing with the Guardia, etc., it's just for his own good, for his own welfare. He should really go back to that court on Monday, go back to that place, sober. Maybe take an interpreter with him or ask for an interpreter while he's there and try and put this right because this is not going to go well for him. So it's not going to go well for him, Sharon. Yeah. So everyone else is lying. So the Guardia are lying. So the Guardia threw him out just for no reason. Is that right, Sharon? That's not facts. You don't know anything about the Guardia. Do you know Spain? Do you know anything about the Guardia Civil? Do you know anything about the way the system works over here? No, you don't know anything. You're the one that's just believing something that you've seen on TikTok. Sorry, with respect, but I do know what I'm talking about as far as this is concerned. If we were talking about a court case in Northern Ireland or a court case in England even, I wouldn't know how it works, or any other country. But one thing I do know from personal experience is how the court in Torrevieja works. I do know. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you don't like the police. Well, that's fine. But I'm telling you now, I don't believe that. So anyway, thanks for your comments. Thanks for watching. So I just wanted to let everybody know what the real reason that this man did not give his statement today was. Because he was drunk and intoxicated. The Guardia Civil threw him out. They wouldn't take his statement, which can't, and really that's for his own protection as well. Because if he makes a statement and is intoxicated, and he could end up saying something that might be bad for him. It's for his own protection as well. So I would recommend to him, go back there on Monday, sober, and sort it out, because it's not going to go well for him. So anyway, so I twisted it. Oh my God. Sharon, thank you so much for watching, and thank you everybody else for watching. Of course, tomorrow is going to be a very sad day for this family, and I hope they get the justice they deserve. I really do. But I think the only way they're going to get it if people start respecting the system that, unfortunately, John was murdered in a foreign country. And although it might be frustrating, because the Spanish system is not like the British system, but this is the system that it is. And, that man, he needs a solicitor, needs to ask for a solicitor. He needs to go with for his own sake as much as for anybody else's. If he genuinely, as he says, wants to help John George and his family, and get this justice, if he genuinely does want that, then he has to sort out this situation. Okay, thanks so much. I'll see you really soon. In fact, I'll be back tomorrow because I'll be covering the funeral. And my thoughts tonight, to be honest, as I said earlier, they're with his family and especially his mum, because she's spending, the last night with her son in her home. And that, I just cannot imagine how that feels. So they're who my thoughts are with. And I hope they do get justice eventually. But all my love and best wishes go out to them. And I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.